The night sky over western Germany, late autumn 1944. A thin crescent moon hangs low, casting pale silver across the clouds. The air is bitter cold at 20,000 feet, the only sound the distant thunder of Allied bombers droning eastward and the steady pulse of twin engines. Inside the black-gloved cockpit of a Messerschmitt Bf 110 G4 night fighter, Lieutenant Karl-Heinz Schreiber grips the control column, eyes straining through the windscreen into absolute darkness. His radar operator in the rear seat calls quietly over the intercom, a faint blip on the Liechtenstein set. Another British Lancaster perhaps, or one of the American heavies that now fill the night. The hunt is familiar. The routine honed over months of defending the Reich. The Luftwaffe's night fighters own these hours. They've learned to stalk in the blind, guided by ground controllers and their own airborne radar, turning the darkness into a weapon. Yet this night feels different. The Allied bomber streams have grown relentless since the Normandy landings, and rumors circulate among the crews, whispers of a new American shadow that strikes without warning. The Germans had mastered the night first, with their radar-guided interceptors and the deadly efficiency of the Kammhuber line. They expected supremacy in the dark, relying on superior experience, the glow of exhaust flames to mark their prey, and the slow, deliberate stalk of the chase. They believed the heavens above the fatherland remained theirs. What they encountered instead was the Northrop P-61 Block Widow, the first aircraft ever designed from inception as a purpose-built night fighter, armed with the advanced American SCR-720 airborne radar. This centimetric radar, housed in the distinctive fiberglass nose radome, allowed detection at ranges up to 16 miles under favorable conditions, far more precise and less detectable than the earlier VHF systems employed by the Luftwaffe. The Black Widow's three-man crew, pilot, radar operator, and gunner, worked in silent coordination, the radar operator vectoring the pilot onto targets invisible to the naked eye, closing invisibly until the final devastating burst from four forward-firing 20mm Hispano cannons in the belly. The first P-61 squadrons, the 422nd and 425th Night Fighter Squadrons, arrived in England in spring 1944, transitioning from interim British Beaufighters. Combat operations began shortly after D-Day, initially against V-1 flying bombs, with the first confirmed aerial victory on July 16, 1944, when Lieutenant Hermann Ernst downed a buzz bomb over the English Channel. As the Allies advanced into France and Belgium, the Widows moved to forward bases, shifting from defensive patrols to aggressive intruder missions. They hunted Luftwaffe night fighters and bombers, Junkers Ju-188s, Dornier Do-217s, Heinkel He-111s, Messerschmitt Bf-110s, and Focke-Wulf Fw-190s, claiming dozens of victories with virtually no losses to enemy aircraft in air-to-air combat. For the German pilots, the experience shattered expectations. Accustomed to detecting Allied bombers on their own Liechtenstein radar and closing visually under the glow of searchlights or moonlight, they suddenly found themselves the hunted. The American radar allowed the P-61 to approach from blind angles, often from below or astern, without betraying its presence through emissions that could be homed upon. Survivors of encounters spoke of ghostly black shapes materializing from nowhere, the roar of 20mm shells erupting without prior warning, the sudden blaze of tracers stitching the night. One recurring account among surviving Luftwaffe crews described the terror of realizing their own radar had failed to warn them until the enemy was already upon them, too late to evade. To symbolize this reversal, consider the ammunition itself, the steady, abundant stream of American 20mm shells pouring from the Black Widow's belly, endless in supply compared to the rationed bursts of German cannon fire. These shells represented more than firepower. They embodied the industrial might of a nation that could produce, ship, and expend such volumes without hesitation. Where German crews counted every round, conserving for the long defense of the Reich, the Americans unleashed torrents, confident in replenishment from factories that never slept. This technological and material superiority forced a profound transformation in German perception. The Luftwaffe's night fighter force, once the elite guardians of the homeland, found its mystique eroded. Pilots who flew with certainty in the night began to question the inevitability of their cause. The night, once a sanctuary for the defender, became a realm of uncertainty and fear. As the Allies pressed forward in late 1944 and early 1945, many German crews shifted to desperate ground attack missions during the Ardennes offensive, exposing them to daytime risks they long avoided. In the end, the Black Widow's quiet presence in the night sky served as a harbinger of larger truths. The radar-guided shadow from across the ocean did not merely win engagements, it revealed the limits of ideology against ingenuity, of determination against inexhaustible resources. Freedom, defended not by walls of searchlights, but by innovation and abundance, proved unbreakable in the darkness. The German pilots, staring into the void where their supremacy once reigned, saw the first glimmers of a new dawn, one where the night itself had changed sides, and the future belonged to those who could see without being seen.